mind-boggling. We are $2.1 million in debt. Now you're like, what? So I did a poll yesterday, and this is what came out of it. So if you voted and participated, I really, really appreciate it. So if you want to vote on the next few ones, I would really appreciate it. So we can, go over the data, and it's going to give me more accurate measurements for next time. So yesterday I asked, how much credit card debt are you in? And I've actually was super, super surprised, and congratulations on my viewer to be financially literate, because 58% have zero credit card debt and are actually paying that off. So kudos, respect, keep it up, don't get into it. Then 23% are between $1,000 and $10,000 in debt, and 10% are between 10 and 25% in debt, and 9% are between 25 and $50,000 in credit card debt. So now, obviously, I do the math, right? So these are estimates, right? So when you look at the estimates, right, we are collectively $2.13 million in debt. That makes every viewer, or everybody that voted, about $6,470 in debt, right? If you take the average, that's how much every person is in debt in my channel. So if you have debt, you're still in debt because that's the average, right? So now let's look at how much you actually need to pay to service that debt, right? So, and then we're going to get into the video and talk a little bit more about this. So if you make minimum payments, right, depending on your APR is 24%. So I took that from just the internet, like a common interest rate. So we are looking at a monthly interest that just occurs is $128. So without you doing anything, it's just costing you $128 to service that. And so then depending on, if you have a 2% minimum payment, 3% minimum payment, it is actually, these are the numbers. So 192 with 1%, 256 with 2% minimum payments, and 3% with $328, right? So now I'm looking at it. How accurate is this 6,000 something dollars a month, right? So I'm looking at it, and it's saying that, the average American household has $8,400 in credit card debt, right? So I'm like, okay, it's a little bit higher. My people are more financially literate. And Americans have credit card debt of $1.1 trillion. So why might that be a problem? Well, because we are now also adding phantom debt. That is, buy now, pay later type of deal, just like here, where Affirm, Amazon, they all do that, where you can buy now, pay later, and it's not even reported to credit bureaus and all this other stuff. And so that is another $700 billion, right? So now I was looking at it like, okay, who is actually paying these crazy, crazy numbers with the $50,000 plus credit card debt, right? It's like, who has that? So how many people have $50,000 in credit card debt? Running up $50,000 in credit card debt is not impossible. About 2 million Americans do it every year. Crazy, right? So now, why is all this a problem? Well, now we're getting into the juicy part. So I had to do the intro with all the information, and now we're going to get into it. So I've actually did extensive research, and I found averages, right? So average mortgage rate or rent is $1,785. Property taxes on that is $214. So average housing in the United States, $1,900, right? So keep that in cost. Transportation, car payment, $523 for an average used car. Car insurance, $192. Gas, $200. Total transportation, $910. And these are all averages, right? So now, let's look at utilities. So electricity, $163. Natural gas, $72. Water, sewer, $70. Trash and recycling, $25. Internet, 60, and phone 140. So I actually had to look at T-Mobile and actually had to do some research because I did not think that freaking your phone bill is so much. So that totals up to $531, right? Then healthcare premium for two people is $922. So when we count that all up, right? And this doesn't even include food, any entertainment, or anything else, right? So the estimated total 1900 plus 915 plus 531 plus 972, that comes to a mind-boggling $4,414, right? So if you have to get paid $4,500 in your bank account, that means you need to have a bigger take-home pay, right? So that means you need to have more, you cannot just make $4,500 a month, so you need to make more, right? So your net home pay should be about $6,900 per year. So that results into $83,000 a year because you need to take taxes out and all that, right? So when you're looking at that, you need to make $83,000 a year just to keep your bills paid. So let's look at the taxes.
Right here. Come on. Sorry.
No worries. So let's calculate it. So with 22 federal percent income tax, Social Security, and all that, you need to at least make $83,000. So when you're making $83,000, you're actually living in poverty because all this stuff doesn't even include that debt that we were talking about. So nowhere here is listed phantom debt, credit card debt, or anything else like entertainment or food. So now, if you add another few $100s on the credit card debt, and you add another $1,000 in food or a few $100s in food, that is another $1,000. So that brings it up to $100,000 that you need to make to stay afloat. And that isn't going on vacation. That isn't doing, you having fun going out. And this is why the United States is so expensive that you're going broke while actually working your ass off. While you're working at an exorbitant amount, 2 jobs, 3 jobs, trying to make ends meet and trying to make it, you actually are not getting ahead because you need to make, you saw it, you need to make a shit ton of money to actually stay afloat, to live comfortably, right? And it is really, really mind boggling when you get into debt, right? And so when we look at all these expenses that you need to have, what one huge problem that I see is that people do not take this into consideration. When you get into debt, right, and you lose your job because we're in an economy where freaking everybody loses their job, you rack up more debt. And so then the recovery time is going to take you longer because you need to get out of that debt to then qualify for new loans, qualify for new cars, because companies aren't going to give you, or mortgage or bankers aren't going to give you new loans while you still have no room to breathe and you're just filled up with credit card debt. So when I hear people saying, oh, the housing market's going to take off, we're going to make so much, everybody's going to jump into the housing market and we're going to save that, and we're going to save the housing market. The Fed's going to lower interest rate and the housing market's going to take off like this. I don't think so because everybody now has these crazy credit card debts. Everybody has these, unemployment on their history. So now I'm asking you, let me know in the comments below if you think that the housing market's going to take off, because I personally think it's going to stay exactly the same, even if interest rates go down, because people have been unemployed trying to get their own business going, had 3 jobs, and they did not qualify for a loan. And I do not know how many of these people are cash buyers. I'm going to say, I'm going to be cash buyer and I'm going to save up. So I'm going to actually do another poll when I get home, how much money they actually have saved up in savings. So go vote. It's up right now. And I will make a follow-up video to see if you guys have the down payment, right? So now, when you have all these expenses, you have all these expenses that are ongoing, and you're just trying to get ahead, trying to make ends meet, try to live the American dream. The American dream is expensive. The American dream is out of reach for most people. It is just mind-boggling to see how all these people, how much you actually need on paper to actually live the American dream, right? Because I don't think the American dream is just paying your health insurance and your bills and then just be done. And people in the comment section has been, oh, you're not going to own anything. You're just going to be, slaving away and working and just be done with it. And when you look at these numbers, it's starting to look like it, because you need a really, really hefty paycheck to make ends meet. And then you can say, oh, I don't have a car payment, so my bill's lower. So that doesn't matter, because $500 in today's world isn't a whole lot. And when you look at, it's just a cell phone bill is $140. So on average. So when you look at that, $140 is absolutely bananas. When you think about a car payment used to be, $300, and now it's a freaking cell phone bill. So I think the creep of prices keep going up and up and up is just insane. So 2 years ago, Verizon offered me, one of these home pods, and they said, oh, it's $25. I went today to get rid of my watch cellular service, because, it's like, I used to like it, but the battery's just so bad at it, so I gave it up. And they said, oh, do you want to try the home pod out? I was like, nah, I tried it and it didn't work out. And they said, oh yeah, we also increased the price. Now it's, I think it's like $45 now. So they doubled the price. So I'm like, holy smokes. We as consumers have, given these companies too much power, where there's no competition. There's not enough competition for people to move around and actually give us some valuable, cheap, and affordable options, because $140 is just insane. So now, where do you save money? Where do you save money so you can buy your own house, buy something smart, and do it? Well, you need to cut down everything. You can't cut out much on food. Eating out is, as you guys voted last time, isn't even in the picture. And now we're looking at it like, okay, where are all these people? Where are all these people that cannot make their payments? Where are all these people that are going from month to month, struggling and not making ends meet? Because they need to get a job, they need to figure out how to increase their income, and trying to get, better jobs, better payment. But this is all so difficult now, because you cannot just go out and say, I'm going to increase my payment, I'm going to increase my salary, I'm going to do all that, because right now nobody's hiring, right? And all these layoffs are going to have a ripple effect down the road. And what I want you guys to know is that these people that are in credit card debt, it is not 100% their fault, because everybody can hit on hard times. And when you hit on hard times, the credit card is a really easy way how to just cope with it. And I don't fault anybody for having credit card debt, because it happens. Like, if that's the only way to stay afloat, you kind of need to do it. So if you are one of them that's looking at it like, all these losers for credit card debt, don't say anything like that, because you could also be in a position in the near future to be like that. And I don't think it has a lot to do with financial literacy, because when you're just in a day-to-day kind of life, and you're just trying to get by to the next paycheck because you're struggling so much, and all these things that I've listed isn't planning for emergencies. This isn't you having doctor bills, you having a pop tire and need to go get new tires on the car. This isn't you need to go get an oil change, or you having or you need to buy clothes, or you need to go do you need to go to the dentist and get some teeth fixed or something. Those are all not counted for, right? So all these things that happen to us humans, some of these things are not even accounted for in those bills, right? And so when you look at the average American household isn't even making enough to cover the average payments, right? So now it's absolutely crazy how these executives make so much bloody money and making millions, and everybody else is struggling because they just do not have the funds, they do not have the cash, they do not have the means to an end to actually pay for their emergencies. And it is crazy when you actually crunch the numbers. And I also think that a lot of people are scared now of looking at their credit cards or looking at their bank statements because they've been unemployed. They're not that liquid anymore, and they're ashamed. Like when you're in high credit card debt, you're more ashamed of it, and that is something psychologically that if you've never been into it, you just don't experience it. And so give some grace to these people and not be like, you guys are idiots, and you guys got in credit card debt and you guys don't know how to budget. No, maybe it's just that they hit on hard times. And I had people in my comment section that said they had to put, their dental record, they fell on the ground, and their tooth fell out, and their insurance wouldn't really cover them, and they've had to take out a credit card to pay for that. And then the credit card company sued them and took them to court, and then they had to file for bankruptcy because they didn't have $3,000 for the dental for the dental for the dentists, right? And so when you hear stories like that, is it's just sad. It's just sad how insurance is like, because it's a business too, then we're just going to take you to court. And I personally think one of the easiest businesses to do is insurance, because in most cases um it's mandatory, right? Homeowners, car insurance. And then if you do get into a car accident or something, they're not there to help you. They'll hire lawyers and come after you to 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 uh to not pay. So yeah, it is absolutely brutal what these people are going through. So I'm gonna cut this video. Let me know what you think. Please go and vote on my next poll and see how much how much how much savings and in how much saving you got, and we will see what that's going to turn out. And stay tuned for the next video where we're going to talk about what the average viewer of mine has in savings. So if you want to participate in these surveys, in these polls, you really need to go out and vote so I can see and know what you're doing. So I appreciate it, and I will talk to you in the next one. Please, if you haven't, go follow me on LinkedIn, connect, and yeah, watch me on Spotify, Rumble, all these other platforms. So please also like and subscribe. And I really appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing. Great conversations. And thank you. And I am out for today.